I call out a womp. I pray this devil die and get every evil thing the Lord got to give. And listen, I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Come here, SHALAM. Come here, SHALAM. I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Black people on drugs, and we suffering and dying. And I know it seems like you can do whatever you want to this people. I know it seems like this, but the time for glorifying yourself is soon at an end.
But you know what? We are not about to be good slaves anymore.
Right.
We are no longer going to be slaves. And mark my words, you are in slavery.
Right.
That turkey you're going to buy, you're not getting it from a black-owned farm. You're getting it from a white-owned supermarket. All the ingredients for this feast that you're about to throw, the clothes you're going to wear when you go to this feast, when you go eat this dinner, when you go celebrate this holiday, all the decorations, the lights, the power that's going to be keeping your damn stove on, you got from another nation. And this is the problem, because you love your oppressor. If for you, if it ain't white, it ain't right. Well, damn that, because the white man is the devil the Bible speaks about. He is your oppressor. You are still in captivity in America. Let's see what the Bible has to say about this. Read what's highlighted.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor.
You better not envy your oppressor. You better not follow any of his ways, any of his holidays. Why do you celebrate Thanksgiving? Well, they taught us in school, and my mama celebrated it. Well, why the hell did she celebrate it? Because her slave master beat you until you followed all of his ways. Read.
And choose none of his ways.
Choose none of his ways. Black woman, Hispanic woman, you better stop dyeing your hair blonde. You better stop putting that blonde weave in. You got, oh buddy, what's the rapper's name? T.I.'s woman, Tiny. She just got a surgery to have blue eyes permanently implanted into her eyes. Don't you know blonde hair and blue eyes is leprosy? Don't you know it's a curse? It's an uncleanness to have that? But you're following your God. You don't follow the God of the Bible. The white man, woman, and child became your God in America. Your oppressor is the ways that you follow. Read it from the top.
Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
And you better choose none of his ways. You better find out what's your culture. What is right according to your culture? What is right according to the Lord? Give me Amos 5:21. This is what you gotta understand. What you don't understand is that this holiday was built on the blood of your brothers and sisters. These streets right here are built on top of the bones of the North American Indians. And when you celebrate Thanksgiving, you're celebrating they're giving thanks for their death so they can have this land. That's what you're celebrating. Thanksgiving is an evil holiday. And if you celebrate it, man, you's a damn Uncle Tom. You are nothing more than a damn coon and a damn slave for the white man celebrating these holidays. If they had a holiday where they hung nooses on these telephone poles and celebrated your lynchings, would you have a feast? Would you celebrate it, black man? So why the hell are you celebrating a holiday that marks the death of your brother? Read what you got. Let's find out how the Lord feels about your holidays.
Amos chapter 5, verse 21. I hate.
I what?
I hate.
I what?
I hate.
The Lord hates. Don't tell me hate ain't in this Bible. Read.
I despise your feast days.
Your what?
Your feast days.
The Lord hates and despises your feast days. Your Thanksgiving. Your Halloween. Your Christmas. Your Easter. But you became a good slave. You became a good slave in America and follow all the ways of your oppressor. Anything that he taught you. Read it from the top.
I hate, I despise your feast days and I will not smell in your solemn assembly.
So right there, when you blessing that pork, when you're blessing all those abominations on the table, you better know this, the Lord is taking a deaf ear. Don't you know the prayers of a sinner are an abomination unto the Lord? He hates your prayers when you sin against him. But you don't know nothing. Let me tell you, let me give you a little brief history on Thanksgiving, on what you're celebrating. We're going to get into this article right here. Read what's highlighted.
The idea.
This is the true story of Thanksgiving, not what they taught you in public school. Read.
The idea of the American Thanksgiving feast is a fairly recent fiction.
A what?
Fairly recent fiction.
It is fiction. It is false what they're teaching you inside this school. Read. And it's fairly new. Come on.
The idyllic partnership of the 17th century European pilgrims and New England Indians sharing a celebratory meal appears to be less than 120 years old. And it was only after the First World War that a version of such a Puritan Indian partnership took hold in elementary schools across the American landscape.
Ain't that what they teach you in school? Squanto, the native Indian. He comes through and he helps the pilgrims. And then they break bread. Old girl brings some peach cobbler. The Indians bring some maize. Everybody got along, right? Ain't that what they teach you? Hell no. Let's find out what really happened on this day. Read.
We can thank the invention of textbooks and their mass purchase by public schools for embedding this Thanksgiving image in our modern mind.
Because this is what they do. We're slaves. They teach us what we want to know. They condition you inside these schools. You know what school you need to attend? The I.S.U.P.K. Right. You need to grab a flyer and get in class and get a real education. Right. Read.
It was, of course, a complete invention, a cleverly created slice of cultural propaganda. Just another in a long line of inspired nationalistic myths.
Nationalistic myths to promote this nation being created, to embetter you becoming a better slave and celebrating these holidays. Read.
The first Thanksgiving Day did occur in the year 1637, but it was nothing like our Thanksgiving today. On that day, the Massachusetts colony governor John Winthrop proclaimed such a Thanksgiving to celebrate the safe return of a band of heavily armed hunters.
A band of what?
Heavily armed hunters.
Yeah, let's find out about these so-called pilgrims. Right. They were heavily armed hunters. What were they hunting? Let's find out. Were they hunting the turkeys? Were they going to get some food for this feast that they were going to celebrate? Let's learn a little something.
All colonial volunteers.
All colonial volunteers. These men said, aye, aye, sir. I'll go. Let's find out where they went.
They had just returned from their journey to what is now Mystic, Connecticut, where they massacred.
They what?
Massacred.
They what?
Massacred 700, quote, Indians.
They murdered, massacred, slaughtered 700 Indians.
Right.
Keep reading.
700 Indians, men, women, and children, all murdered.
All murdered in cold blood. This is what you're celebrating. Right. This is what you get together with your family to come and commemorate. Don't you have no honor? Don't you have no shame? Right. What the hell is wrong with you? Right. Once again, if they hung nooses up on all these poles and celebrated your lynchings, would you celebrate it? Right. Hell no. You would be outraged by this. But you're going to celebrate this feast that's the massacre of your brothers. Keep reading.
This day is still remembered today, 373 years later. No, it's been long forgotten by white people.
It's been forgotten by white people because white people don't care about murdering you. They murder you and go right to sleep. Go ask Mike Brown's parents. Go ask Eric Garner's family. Go ask Eric, what's his name? Edsel Ford over in California. From coast to coast, it doesn't matter where you are. if you're in Staten Island, if you're in LA, or if you're in the middle of the country. They don't give a damn. Keep reading.
By European Christians. But it is still fresh in the mind of many Indians. A group calling themselves the United American Indians of New England meet each year at Plymouth Rock on Coles Hill for what they say is a day of mourning.
A day of what?
Of mourning.
But you want to celebrate. You want to celebrate, and they consider it a day of mourning.
Right.
Because it was a day of slaughter.
Right.
And the slaughter continued. But you don't care about your family. You don't care about your people. How do I know? 11,000 murders a year, black on black crime. 400,000 abortions a year just from black women alone. But you don't give a damn about that. Let me get the Apocrypha, Baruch 3 and 4. Don't you understand? You're supposed to remember these events.
Yes.
But you don't care about your nation. You know, the fake Jew, to this day, will not buy a German car because he honors his day. But what do they tell you? 9/11, never forget. Pearl Harbor, we gotta remember. But when it comes down to slavery, when it comes down to your pain, they don't give a damn about it. Oh, slavery, that was in the past. 9/11, never forget. Never forget these things. Let's see what the Bible says. I need you to go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 4. You need to learn to honor your dead. You need to do what the Bible says. And that's the problem. That's why you're destroyed in this land today. Because you follow celebrations that the Lord hates. You follow these holidays which the Lord says he hates and will not smell in your assembly. Read what you got.
Baruch chapter 3 verse 4. O Lord Almighty, thou God of Israel.
That God of who?
Of Israel. Hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites.
And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to hear the prayers of your dead ancestors. You're supposed to understand that they know damn well the devil is the white man is the devil in the earth. Everybody knows it but you. Why don't we ask Trayvon Martin who's the devil, huh? Oh, we can't because he's right next to Mike Brown, buried in the earth, along with the 77 million North American Indians. And the slaughter did not stop there. Let's get into this. Let's get it. You can get this off the internet. You can get this off Wikipedia. And if you don't got Google, you can Google this so easily. Read what's highlighted.
American Indian Holocaust.
That's what you're celebrating on this upcoming Thursday. The American Indian Holocaust. You want to talk about a real Holocaust? A real Holocaust happened on the slave ships. Keep reading.
Is a term used by American Indian activists to bring attention to what they contend is the deliberate mass destruction of the American Indian populations following the European arrival in the Americas.
Because the white man is worse than Ebola. You want to worry about Ebola? You need to worry about this damn devil in the earth. But if you follow the law, statutes, and commandments, you don't have nothing to fear. Because the Lord will destroy him with Ebola and not touch you. The Lord will send thermonuclear war to America's door and not touch you for vengeance for the 77 million North American Indians. Keep reading.
A subject which they allege has hitherto received very limited mention in history.
Because they don't care. You know what? Let me tell you something. That devil Napoleon said something very wise. He said the winners write history. And that's who writes your textbooks. That's who gives you your education in America. And that's why you don't understand this. That's why you still think today that Thanksgiving is a peaceful time for us to come together. When they had a damn hunting party returning from slaughtering 700 men, women, and children on that one day alone. Read.
Partially because most of the deaths happened before European chroniclers arrived to record them. Estimates of the pre-Columbian population vary widely, though uncontroversial studies place the figure for North Central and South America at a combined 50 million to 100 million.
50 to 100 million. That was the population before Columbus landed, before the white man known as the damn Ebola virus to us, came and plagued us on these shores.
Right.
But they tried underplaying it. They tried downplaying everything. Keep reading.
For North America alone, an estimated 80% to 90% of this population died after the arrival of the Europeans, overwhelmingly from factors beyond most human control.
Which, this is a damn lie. This is another cover-up. Let's read the first thing that they say was beyond human control.
Smallpox epidemic.
Smallpox epidemic. Because you know what they don't tell you? They don't tell you that the first use of biological warfare was against the North American Indians. That they took blankets and came over, and after coughing on them and infecting them with smallpox, they'd put them on their biggest warriors. They'd give them as gifts. They'd make them feel, oh, you're going to be nice and warm this winter. Enjoy that. And then you die from smallpox. They take out your biggest warriors and then come in and rape and murder your children. Keep reading.
Europeans, especially the Spanish conquistadors, also killed thousands deliberately.
And that's what you gotta learn about. The Puerto Ricans are your brother, man. The Mexican Indians are your brother, man. They killed 90% of the population of all the islands in the Caribbean. Why do you think they call Puerto Ricans? We ain't no rich porks. The hell is wrong with us calling ourselves the names our captors gave us? Same thing when you come down into Mexico. They murdered 25 million of the Mexican Indians. Keep reading.
Acts of genocide.
Acts of what?
Genocide. The UN famously distinguishes between genocide and the acts of genocide, while never answering the question, how many acts of genocide make up a genocide?
And this is what we need to understand, because I'm about to break out to you a whole bunch of acts of genocide, where you're about to see thousands upon thousands were murdered until the death toll reached 77 million. Read.
Perhaps the reader shall decide. A genocide is the attempted destruction of an entire people, most often a nation or ethnicity. These attempts can range from merely destroying all of the things that make an ethnic group, forced language policies, destruction of history, to forced sterilization of...
You know what, we gotta break this down little by little. By distorting your language. You don't know what your language is. If I asked you what you spoke before English, you couldn't tell me. Same thing if I ask a Mexican brother or a Puerto Rican. They can't tell you. You know who could tell you? The Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Because we speak it today. Shema Yasha'ala Yahweh Lahayanawa Yahweh God. That's what we were speaking before they came. Hebrew, the holy tongue. Yeshua Kodash. Keep reading.
To force sterilization.
Forced sterilization. That's what they did over to the woman over there in Puerto Rico. That's what the Nazis started practicing. Eugenics. Keep reading.
To prevent further generations from being born.
Planned Parenthood. Is this ringing a bell? Is this sounding familiar?
Among the individual acts of genocide perpetrated by the American settlers during their colonization of the Americas are Columbus's voyages.
So these are some examples. And it starts with Columbus's voyages. Why? Because that was European penetration into the Americas. That's how it started. The transatlantic slave trade started with Columbus when he went and grabbed up 1,100 Taino Indians and shipped them over to Seville, Spain, the slave capital. And only 800 died, only 300 survived, making it to that trip. And Columbus said, hey, that's good business. And then they celebrate Columbus Day. They named cities after him and built statues in his honor. He was a damn pirate, a pedophile, a rapist, a murderer. Thanks a lot, brother. Keep reading.
Trail of Tears.
The Trail of Tears. Another onslaught against the North American Indians. Read.
Indians were generally disliked in the United States.
Oh, I hardly knew. Maybe it was from the fact they put them on some damn concentration camps and called them reservations. Keep reading.
As they got in the way of American progress and manifest destiny.
Manifest destiny. Manifest destiny was the white man's idea of justifying the fact that he can kill all the North American Indians to take this land. It is our God-given right. When the Lord gave you the earth, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, this planet belongs to you.
Right.
Read.
The Indian Removal Act of 1831 attempted to move roughly 50,000 Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and others from their home to Indian Territory, present-day Oklahoma.
So now they made an act declaring we need to move them off the better part of the land and take them somewhere else. And they made these families march, men, women, and children, in the snow for miles across the countryside. Read.
The U.S. government did not provide any means.
Let this noise pass. Keep reading.
The U.S. government did not provide any means of transportation.
The U.S. government, now, even though they're sitting there and saying, we need to pick you up and move you from the other side, but now you gotta walk. We're not gonna provide you with horses. We're not gonna provide you with carriages. Keep reading.
Forcing them to walk.
What?
Forcing them to walk.
Forcing them to walk.
The 2,200 miles.
2,200 miles. It's only 1,100 to Florida. Read.
One can reasonably argue that the U.S. government.
Let the noise pass. That's good.
One can reasonably argue that the U.S. government did fully expect many of them to die on the way.
The U.S. government expected this because they don't give a damn. Don't you understand that? Read.
Especially children and the elderly. The U.S. government recorded 4,000 deaths on just one of many.
On just what?
One of many relocation marches.
And how many people died on 9/11? 3,000? But you know what they did? They went to war. They went to war, and to this day, you know what the death toll is over there? They killed 2 million Iraqis. They killed 2 million of those men over there because the white man cares about his people. The white man will go to war for his people. You don't give a damn. You go riot and steal a damn TV and then go home and play PS4. Keep reading.
Estimates of the total death toll range from as low as 5,000 to as high as 25,000. Ironically, missionaries traveled with the Indians of their own accord to attempt to provide better provisions to the people.
Which didn't happen. These damn missionaries. This is why you're Christians today. This is why you want to sit there and go inside and you want to worship a white boy called Caesar Borgia. Right. Alright? This is how, where's he at? This is why this became your God. This is why you love the white man today. Right. Because Caesar Borgia became your God, not Yahushua Mashiach. Yahushua Mashiach is Jesus Christ in the Hebrew, a black man. Right. But no, this man right here became your God. That's why you want to break a brother in half when he steps on your shoe. Because you can't have no worth. Your God is white. Flip it over. Let's keep reading. Let's keep getting more into these acts of genocide which were committed on our brothers and sisters that you're going to celebrate this Thursday. Read.
Damn any man.
This is the Sand Creek Massacre, another act of genocide. Read.
Damn any man who sympathizes with Indians. Kill and scalp all, big and little. Knits make lights. Cole John Livingston.
This was Colonel John Livingston, and this is how he felt about the North American Indians. He said, kill them all, big and small, old and young. Don't matter. Read.
On November 29th, 1864, 700 militia from Colorado and the surrounding territories surrounded a peaceful encampment of so-called peace chiefs.
Because ain't that like us? We've always been peaceful with this devil. They go and kill Eric Garner, we want to march. The only time we actually got a little bit out of pocket was over in Ferguson. And I'm not justifying rioting, but you should feel angry to the point when a young black boy dies in the street. And not only when he dies at the hands of another nation, when he dies at the hands of your own people. You should care about that. We should care when any one of our people die. We should have some brotherhood. We should have some respect. We should have some honor. But you want to be an American. And you know what? That's why you hate your people. Because America is built on white supremacy. Read.
Predominantly from the Cayenne and Arapaho, who have been invited to end the Indian wars.
So they were invited to end this war going on. And you know what? What they were warring for? They were warring for peace. They were warring for invaders. If another nation came on this soil and tried to conquer New York, America's just gonna lay back? They would go to war. Read.
Without warning or cause, they opened fire.
Without warning or cause. No sound of a trumpet. No war blast. Read.
They opened fire and slaughtered approximately 150 Indians from various western tribes. Colonel Chivington and his men cut fetuses out of the women.
They what?
Cut fetuses out of the women.
And this is a man you want to argue with me when I say he's the devil?
That's right. That's right.
He would come up to your woman and cut the fetus right out of her womb. Read.
Slaughtered infants by
Slaughtered what?
infants.
And this is biblical prophecy. Don't you know the Bible said, I will send a fierce nation against you. And he shall neither regard the man of young or the child of, or the man of old or the child of young. Don't you know that? Don't you know that's why we went into slavery? Because you don't want to be an Israelite. You want to be a black man. You want to be an American.
Right.
You want to spit on your heritage. You want to celebrate Thanksgiving and break bread with your damn oppressor. You want to follow all his ways. And that's why you're still a slave today. That's why you're still in captivity. That's why you don't know who you are. That's why they raise your children in public school. Read.
Slaughtered infants by stepping on their heads with their boots. Cut the genitals of men and women and decorated their horses.
If I wasn't disciplined, I'd break this damn mic right now. You have no idea how mad this gets me. You have no idea how much this pisses me off, man. And then you want to argue with us about who's the devil in the earth.
Right.
You don't know yet in 2014? I told you Mike Brown knows who's the devil.
That's right.
Emmett Till knows who's the devil.
That's right.
Eric Garner knows who's the devil.
That's right.
All of them know. You don't know? You're going to find out today.
That's right.
Read.
Decorated their horses and wagons with scalps, genitalia, and other body parts before parading through Denver.
And you know what? You go through some of these houses up in the Mississippi, and to this day, you find some abandoned body parts in the basement, still in a jar of water or something, or saline.
That's
You
right.
don't know that? You don't know this? Shalom, brother. Keep reading. Let's get another act. You don't see this? They would scalp your ancestors and ride around with them as trinkets, as trophies, as the look who could kill the most Indians. Read.
Wounded Knee Massacre. As the U.S. government were herding Syuks onto reservations, a Paiute shaman among them named Wavaka came up with the syncretic ghost dance religion, mixing numerous indigenous beliefs and Christianity. Wavaka taught that the dance, along with loving each other, living in peace, working hard, and refraining from stealing.
These are the people that they slaughtered. People who didn't want to steal, who promoted love amongst each other, promoted brotherhood, wouldn't kill each other. This is what they were trying to come up with, and all this is in the Bible. Every single one of these things are in the Bible. The book that you don't want to open. The book that the #1 sold book in the world that collects the most dust. That you go inside this Christian church, they talk about the same 4 scriptures all year round. Read.
Fighting amongst each other or with the whites and traditional self-mutilation practices would hasten the reunion of the living and the deceased. The reunion would coincide with the sweeping away of the evil in the world and renewing the earth with love, faith, and prosperity.
When you go in the Bible, love is following the law. Love is following the commandments. Because if I love my brother, I won't sleep with his woman. If I love my brother, I won't sell him drugs. If I love my brother, I won't murder him when he steps on my sneaker. Read.
Many songs, though, interpreted this sweeping away of evil and renewing the earth as meaning the cleansing of the white American.
Which, you know what? I don't blame him for that one. But this is the problem. You go against a man who's blessed with the sword, you will die. And we're not telling you to go kill any white people. Let the Lord handle this bastard. Let the Lord kill him by the millions. Let the Lord plague this community with Ebola. Not this community, but this land. You follow his laws, it won't touch you. Just like those plagues didn't touch Goshen in Egypt. But you know what? They destroyed the damn Egyptians. Wiped them right off the map. Let him plague and kill the devil with every evil thing that he got to give. Read.
This interpretation spread rapidly among the Souths, causing alarm with the U.S. authorities, who sought to quell the movement of arresting chiefs, most notoriously Sitting Bull, who was shot to death in the process of his arrest. Sitting Bull's death caused a number of his tribesmen to flee the reservation.
Flee right onto those reservations when they used to roam this land freely. This whole country was theirs, and now these streets and businesses are built on their bones so that the white man can come make a profit. And you don't stick with your people. That's why you lost Harlem. Because you don't know how to love your brother. You don't know how to fluctuate your own local economy. So now Sylvia's is owned by the Koreans. So's Manor Soul Food. You don't got no black businesses left in Harlem. If you do, there's about 4 of them. Keep reading.
Later, when journeying to another reservation, they were intercepted by a regiment of cavalry, which attempted to disarm them. One deaf-mute man did not understand the order, so he failed to put down his rifle. It went off as soldiers took it from him, resulting in their comrades opening fire.
Stop right there. Let this noise pass. So a gunshot goes off accidentally, and just like the coward that he is, just like the coward that the white man is, that he killed that Zimmerman couldn't take a little 12-year-old boy. How old was he? 17. A grown man couldn't take a 17-year-old boy walking down the street with a bag of Skittles. You know what I'm saying? The damn cowards that they are in this earth, they came and they murdered them because they heard they got spooked by a damn gunshot. Keep reading.
Believing they were under attack, 150 Sioux were killed in all. This massacre was committed by the 7th U.S. Cavalry, a unit formerly under command of General George A. Custer. So revenge for his spectacular, lethal defeat in battle with the South and their allies may have contributed to it.
This is what you need to realize. You're never going to come up against a man with nuclear bombs. You're never going to come up against a man who sells you your ammunition. You're never going to come up against a man with predator drones. You know how you need to fight? Don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Do not eat that pork chop. Do not have any more crab, shrimp, and lobster. If you are a brother, you better grow your beard and get some locks in your head. And I'm not talking about dreadlocks. I'm talking about getting you some braids. You better come and you better gird up and put some damn boots on. and get in our classes. Learn your identity. And you know what? A black man by the name of Jesus Christ, thank you, brother, will crack that sky and send 200 million black angels, not little white naked baby angels, to come and burn America to the ground. And you will inherit this earth. Keep reading.
Assimilation policies. The U.S. government for many years followed a policy of assimilation, attempting to wipe out the Indians as an ethnic group and integrated them into European American culture.
And I'd say that they've been very successful with every single one of our black, Hispanic, and Native Indian brothers and sisters. To the point where if I ask 5 different black men what's their nationality, one's going to tell me he's an American. When that is your citizenship. All right? Another one is going to turn around and tell me, oh, I'm black. That's the absence of light. It's a shade. It's not even a color. Another one is going to tell me I'm African American. Well, that's 2 continents, dummy. Both named by white Italian explorers, Leo Scipius Africanus and Amerigo Vespucci. So which one are you? And then if you tell me you're African, well, tell me, there's 52 countries, what, 52? Over 50 countries in Africa. Which one do you belong to? Then when you get inside that country, there's over 13 or 14 different tribes. Which one are you? Tell me. I'll wait here all day. And you'll never tell me. Keep reading.
Practice of tribal religion was outlawed.
And the practice of your culture, of your religion, of your language, all these things were outlawed. Read.
And children were required to attend boarding schools.
And these boarding schools, if you go look it up right now, they're still finding graves of children that they murdered and then buried under the school and said that they ran away. Because these schools, these reservations were all concentration camps. They were methods of brainwashing. Read.
Modeled on the industrial schools of Europe, in which they were forced to give up their own languages and customs.
Don't you understand this is what the white man does? This is what the white man does in America. Can I get black Indians, please? I'm about to show you a beautiful quote inside this book to explain to you the monster that you're dealing with here. All right? As if you didn't already know. As if you don't know about Ferguson, as if you don't know what happened to Staten Island, if you don't know what happened to your ancestors, if you don't know what happened to the North American Indians.
That's right.
It's good, Shanetta.
If not, drop it. What we're going to get into right now, do you understand that the largest execution that ever took place inside of America, do you know what happened? They put 36 Native American Indians to death. You understand that? They hung 36 Native Indians. You know who this was done by? This was done by Abraham Lincoln, and y'all love him for freeing the slaves, huh? But you know what? He hated your brothers, the North American Indians. He hated y'all too. You know what he wanted to do? The reason why Lincoln wanted to abolish slavery was because he wanted cheap labor in the North. Because if the South would have succeeded from the whole Union, then that means that they had the majority of the slave labor and they could have eventually become more powerful than the North. So what did they do? They wanted to abolish slavery. If they abolished slavery, then that means that you would flee to the North. And then you know what? That's how you ended up building Detroit. That's how you built Chicago. Because you went up there thinking, oh, this is great. I get paid now. I'm free. You began to do the work willingly. You became a willing slave, just like you are today.
Basically.
Right here, yeah. Let's find out what this brother said the European is to these other nations. Read the first joint right here.
The European is to the order, to the other races of mankind, what man himself is to the lower animals. He makes them subservient to his use, and when he cannot subdue, he destroys them.
And that's what he does. He will destroy you when he can't subdue you. You know, the majority of these battles that took place, they had the entire other Indian tribes because they couldn't keep up with us. Just like they can today. That's why we run football. That's why we run boxing. That's why we run UFC. That's why we took over golf, took over tennis. They can't compete with us. Black and Hispanics run every sport on the face of the earth. Drop that. Let's get back into what we were talking about. Flip this over. And we're about to get into the whole story. We're about to break down what happened. We're about to get into what Thanksgiving is really about in this land. Shalom, brother. We're about to get into what all this is really about. Read it.
I was particularly moved by this passage from Thomas de Lorenzo's The Real Lincoln, reviewed here by David Gordon. De Lorenzo is one of the few people to take an honest look at Lincoln instead of treating him like a saint and making excuses for his atrocity.
Because that's what happens when you let somebody else tell the story.
Right.
They make all these people heroes. That's why you think Christopher Columbus was such a great man. He was a mass murderer, a rapist, and a lunatic. But they gave him his own day. Keep reading the article. In 1861.
In 1861, the Senate Sauk Indians in Minnesota sold 24 million acres of land to the federal government for
$1,410,000, good?
By August 1861, thousands of white settlers were pouring onto the Indian lands. But there was such corruption in the government that also almost none of the money was paid to the Sauks.
So they said, we're going to buy this land. And they damn near didn't give them a cent. They didn't give them a red penny. And these white settlers just keep pouring onto the land, taking over their land, building civilization, building colonies, building cities, okay?
And crop failure. That year meant the Sauks were starving. The federal government refused to pay what is owed, breaking yet another Indian treaty.
Breaking yet another Indian treaty. And some of you think you're going to get freed with paperwork? The white man doesn't respect no paperwork.
Right.
How do you think the North American Indians ended up on a treaty? Ended up on a reservation for the 178 treaties that were broken? Keep reading.
And the Sauks revolted. A short war ensued, with Lincoln putting General John Pope in charge. Pope told a subordinate, "It is my purpose to utterly exterminate the Sauks."
Because this is what they think about you. This is how they feel about you in America. That's why they celebrate, they set up holidays to celebrate your death and destruction. But tell you to forget about slavery. They tell you to forget about your pain. They tell you to forget about your hardship. But once again, 9/11, never forget. Never forget about the 3,000 men that died over in the Trade Center. But you gotta forget about the 99 million black men, women, and children who died crossing the Atlantic. You gotta forget about the 77 million North American Indians that we're talking about that were killed. You gotta forget about the fact that they were cutting fetuses out of your wife's womb. Keep reading.
They are to be treated as maniacs or wild beasts, and by no means as people with whom treaties or compromises can be made.
When the real animal is the white man. He wouldn't even keep the treaty. He didn't pay the money. But then he's saying we can't deal with them. They are animals. When the North American Indians upheld their part of the bargain.
The Indians were overwhelmed by the federal army by October, at which time the war was over and General Pope held hundreds of prisoners of war, many of whom were women and children who had been herded into military forts. Military trials were held, each lasting 10 to 15 minutes, in which most of the male prisoners were found guilty and sentenced to death.
Because they knew what the verdict was beforehand. Guilty, guilty, guilty. But old buddy Wilson, the cop from Ferguson, he's not going down for killing Mike Brown. No, he's going to be let free. Which goes to show you more hypocrisy. Because what's the brother's name? Ray Rice. Ray Rice didn't get any pay when he got into a fight with his woman who was spitting in his face. But that cop Wilson is still getting paid for killing your brother, for killing somebody from your nation. Keep reading.
The lack of hard evidence against the accused was manifest. Many men were condemned to death just because they were present during the battle.
It didn't matter. Oh, we just saw you there. Didn't matter what you were doing. Keep reading.
303 Indians were sentenced to death, and
They turned around and sentenced an entire tribe to death. The entire damn tribe was sentenced to death. Over 300 folks were sentenced to be hung. Keep reading.
and Minnesota political authorities wanted to execute every one of them, something that Lincoln feared might incite one or more of the European powers to offer assistance to the Confederacy, as they were hinting they would do.
So now Lincoln's gonna turn around and say, we can't kill that many of them. Because right now during this war, that might incite one of the other European nations to have pity on these poor savages, and then they might overthrow us. Keep reading.
So his administration pared the list of condemned men down to 39, with the promise to Minnesota's politicians that in due course the federal army would remove every last Indian from Minnesota.
And this was their land that they did not get paid for, that they were murdered so that they could obtain. I downplayed. I said it was only 36. It was 39 of them. The largest execution which was ever held in American history. Read.
This was the bargain. Lincoln would look bad if he allowed the execution of 300 Indians. So he would execute only 39 of them. But in return, he would promise to have the federal army murder or chase out of the state all the other Indians.
So to satisfy their bloodlust, this is what he set up. Keep reading.
In addition to sending the Minnesota treasurers $2 million, on December 26, 1862, Lincoln ordered the largest mass execution in American history. And yet, the guilt of the executed could not be positively determined beyond reasonable doubt.
And this is one of the people that they want to build a damn mountain for him and carve his face in the side. He's on your money. They celebrate it on President's Day. This is a man that they want to give honor to. But let's find out the letter that he sent to send this order. What is it? Let's read what's highlighted. This is the letter that he sent for this execution.
Ordered that of the Indians and half-breeds sentenced to be hanged by the military commissions.
It didn't matter if you were only half an Indian by their standards. Keep reading.
Military commission composed of Colonel Crooks, Lieutenant Colonel Marshall, Captain Grant, Captain Bailey, and Lieutenant Olin, and lately sitting in Minnesota. You caused to be executed on Friday, the 19th day of December.
And then it says these 39 names. Read right here.
2, 4, 5, 6.
No, not the number.
The other condemned prisoners you will hold subject to further orders, taking care that they neither escape nor are subjected to any unlawful violence.
And he didn't even list them as names. Those numbers the brother was reading off were the numbers of the prisoners which were to be executed. That's how they named you. You're just a damn number to the white man. You know your social security number? That's what you are. Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States. Let's set the scene. Read that last paragraph.
The execution took place on a giant square scaffold in the center of town, in front of an audience of hundreds of white people. The 38 Dakota men wailed and danced atop the gallows, according to Robert K. Elder of the New York Times, waiting for the trapdoors to drop beneath them. A witness reported that as the last moment rapidly approached, they each called out their name and shouted in their native language, "I'm here, I'm here."
This is exactly what you're celebrating every Thanksgiving.
That's right.
And don't give me that. Can I get the Bible? Give me Ecclesiastes 7:13. Don't give me that old excuse. Oh well, we don't do that. We do it for the family.
That's right.
Let me tell you why you don't do it for the family. That's why every single year you get into a fight with one of your uncles, aunts, or cousins.
Right.
That's why every year one of them ends up getting too drunk and ends up getting knocked out or ends up leaving because he's mad. You argue over whose house you're going to have it at. You argue once you get to the house. And this is what you celebrate. You're celebrating the death of these brothers and sisters
Right.
that they murdered over the last few hundreds of years in America. Starting with Columbus opening up European penetration. So don't give me that, oh, well, we're doing it for the family. Let's find out what the Lord has to say. 7:13.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 13. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight, which he has made crooked?
You can't make straight what the Lord made crooked.
That's right.
And the Lord said he hates and despises your feast days.
That's right.
This is what he tells you. You got feast days. You go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and you find out the holidays you're supposed to be celebrating. You don't celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas. Got nothing to do with the Bible.
That's right.
Want to have a feast on Easter. The hell does some eggs got to do with rabbits who don't lay them?
Right.
But you're so dumb in this land, you don't even know who you are. Going to the damn white man's school when all he's teaching you is that you started off as a slave.
Right.
Let's go back into the article. Let's get that last article right there. I'm about to show you something else that this damn devil in the earth did. What you don't understand is that not only did the white man murder them, let's find out how else he killed them. He went around. Matter of fact, show them this picture. Flip that around right there. Let them see this. Oh, if you could, get a shot of this. You see this right here? This is a white man standing on millions of buffalo skulls. Damn near looks like a mountain of them. Because they turned around and said, you know what? Not only could we kill the North American Indians, let's kill their food supply. If we kill the buffalo, they won't have no way to make clothes for the winter.
Right.
They won't have no food. That's what they strived off. That's how they survived off of.
Right.
Was these buffalo. And the United States decided to hire hunters from all over the country and set up camps. They would even bring them on top of trains and let them open fire from the trains as the herd of buffaloes rode alongside them. And they did all of this just to create the railroad that would connect the west to the east. Read what you got. This is from the Smithsonian. This ain't hard information to find. Read.
Where the buffalo no longer roam, the transcontinental railroad connecting east and west and accelerated the destruction of what had been in the center of North America.
Read what's highlighted.
The last,
Matter of fact, drop down to right here.
no longer after President Abraham Lincoln
There we go. Lincoln again, the man that y'all love, right? He freed the slaves, ain't he? Damn, now you're still a slave.
That's right.
Keep reading.
Not long after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Pacific Railway Act of 1862, railroad financiers George Francis Train proclaimed, the Great Pacific Railway is commenced. Immigration will soon pour into these valleys. 10 millions of immigrants will settle in this golden land in 20 years. This is the grandest enterprise under God. Yet while Train may have envisioned all the glory and the possibilities of linking the east and the west coast by a strong band of iron, he could not imagine the full and tragic impact of the Transcontinental Railroad, nor the speed at which it changed the shape of the American West. For in its wake, the lives of countless Native Americans were destroyed.
Or what?
Destroyed. and tens of millions of buffalo, which have roamed freely upon the great plain since the...
Flip it over. Done, next page. Right here. Finish it off.
Since the last ice age, 10,000 years ago,
Nah, you weren't supposed to.
were nearly driven to extinction in a massive slaughter made possible by the railroad.
So this railroad gave the excuse for them to come in and kill and remove more North American Indians. And you know what? What's crazy is, after all this, they made a damn act to protect the buffalo.
Right.
They didn't sit there and care about what happened to the North American Indians, even though you're going to find out in this article, they slaughtered millions of them. They cared more about the millions of buffalo that happened.
Psalm 137.
That's why, man, let me tell you something. That's why this Bible is so righteous. This Bible is so righteous, man. Psalm 137. Because you know what? The Lord cares about what happened to his people. The Lord cares about what happened to the North American Indians. The Lord cares what happened to the Mexican Indians. The Lord cares what happened to the Taino Indians. The Lord cares about what happened to you, every black, Hispanic, Native Indian, man, woman, and child. And for that, he is going to bring hell to every white woman, man, and child.
When nowadays I work hard on the job, till I come cross y'all. Still like I'm a criminal. Trying to get caught, it could be your first charge. Like, man, you ain't getting the man tomorrow. It go dip, squat, 5 mile run, push, pull, sit on, goddamn, get strong. Looking at my baby, trying to keep them doing wrong. It's too long before they grown, I can't leave them on their own. They killed Day like he had a 30-day cake. The news covering up the story for what they say. It took me back to the time we lost Otis. Pretend these crackers, they gon' tell you something bogus. And I'm thinking like, damn, what you telling kids? We try to put up a fight, but did we fail the kids? Cause they really got us looking like no damn good. And why success got to cost my manhood?